Well, there's a whole catalogue of situations going on in the country at the moment. Top of the agenda, of course, is the cost of living and Boris Johnson's debacle at No.10 Downing Street. Having read Sue Gray's report, it's patently obvious to me that under the leadership of Boris Johnson, the current Prime Minister, No.10 Downing Street has been taken to a new low in history of this country. And that's sad because it had world-renowned status for sensible decision-making. And I think that at the moment is not the case, unfortunately. I don't think Boris Johnson's going to change. Leopards and Spots comes to mind with characters like the Prime Minister.
But Stephen,
now, this country is going to have the Prime Minister that it prepares to accept. And if Boris Johnson survives this, then he will not change. And I can't see the situation changing in No.10 Downing Street, other than perhaps some of their alcohol will be curbed.
You know, Stephen, I just want to ask you, with what you saw yesterday, are you embarrassed? I get the impression talking to you that you're slightly embarrassed that this man represents your country.
Oh, I'm certainly embarrassed, and I say that for this reason. I voted for Boris. I was an ardent Boris Johnson supporter through Brexit and going for his premiership, and I voted for the man. So I bear a small part of responsibility for putting that man in office. So yes, I personally am embarrassed. Now, I'm one of those horrible creatures in politics called a floating voter. I'm not attached to any particular party. I go with the flow at the time when the time comes for me to put cross on paper. See who comes out with the best ideas for the country at the time. But for Boris, he was the one for me at the time of Brexit that righted a big wrong. And that big wrong was under Ted Heath, when he took us into what he claimed was no more than a common market, when he full well knew that it was going to be a political union and our sovereignty was going to be called into question. So Boris gave me the chance to rectify that, because I, unfortunately, am old enough to have taken part in the original referendum in the early 70s.
Stephen,
but now, seeing how Mr. Johnson... Sorry, Rosie.
We've been talking a little bit about the personality of the Prime Minister. Were you surprised by the findings of Sue Gray's report, or did you expect this kind of behaviour from him?
No, I did not expect the level of behaviour. Now, he's well known for his, as it's been characterised on TV, loose connection with fact and the truth, and his chaotic lifestyle. And that came out with a Peppa Pig discussion in front of the cameras. And that was cringeworthy, that Peppa Pig episode. And it really just does illustrate the sort of leader we have at the moment. And I understand people saying, look, we've got crises in the world with Ukraine and the cost of living and other issues in the country. And to change leader now would be the wrong thing to do. My perspective is to keep the leader we have now would be definitely the wrong thing to do, because he is not the sort of man, it transpires, who can lead this country out of a problem. He seems to respond to public pressure via the media. He doesn't initiate thoughts. He waits for the public to make an outcry and then responds to it. And Rishi Sunak seems to be of the same mould.
Yeah.
So he's not an
Stephen, it's fascinating talking to you this morning and realising things that we as journalists can see and predict and that are so obvious, deflecting attention away from something else. They're not fooling you, are they?
Oh, absolutely. No, I'm afraid I'm wise in the tooth and been round the world a few times, metaphorically speaking. So no, they're not fooling me. And believe me, they're not fooling a lot of people out here in society. I walk in different circles, some social, some professional, and they're not fooling a lot of people. I was listening to Liz Kershaw earlier on, and she takes a very interesting, diametrically opposed view to myself. Liz sounds like an apologist for the Prime Minister. I'm sure she's not, but she sounds like it at the moment. And we need people like that who are taking an opposing view to us, because for those of us who are thinkers, it makes us stop and reimagine our own position. Are we taking a fair view? Is it a balanced view? Are we just using internal prejudices to bash somebody unfairly? So we need people like Liz Kershaw to have these fringe views. But believe me, from where I sit in the East Midlands, in Leicestershire, Liz Kershaw's view is not a common one. But we do need the Liz Kershaws of the world.
OK, from the East Midlands in Leicestershire there. Thank you very much indeed. That was Stephen Warden. Stephen, we just appreciate you getting in touch with us. It's lovely to have you on, and I hope people see you talk and they fancy getting on the show as well, because that's what we want to be about. Thank you very much indeed for watching and listening. Thank you.
No, it's 16
Thank you for listening.
Thank you, yes.